Hello, and welcome back to Diecast Graveyard. My name is Paul. I've been on kind of a Boneshaker kick lately, and I just had a bunch of ideas running around through my head. Now, just recently, I did a Boneshaker and I converted it into a Back to the Future car. Today, we're going to take a Boneshaker and combine it with a Red Baron. And I fondly refer to this as Baron von Boneshaker. Now, like I said, here's the Red Baron that I'm going to merge with this Boneshaker. Let's go ahead and get it apart. I've already drilled the cars apart. These are both brand new cars, so there's not really a lot of, there's not a lot of investigation or forensics that you have to do with this. We're just looking at the parts and we're going to start kind of placing stuff together and see what we can come up with. Now, I want to take the cockpit or the center section of the Red Baron, and I want to use that as part of the build. I also want to incorporate the helmet and the interior. Now, the Boneshaker, we're going to cut the front end off and the back end off and combine that with the center section of the Red Baron. We're also going to go with the Real Rider wheels from the Boneshaker, which will be really cool. And I think I'm going to go ahead and change out the helmet and the interior. I just think it's just something that I want to do, and I've already been thinking about it. So let's go ahead and grab your favorite adult beverage and join along as we put together Baron von Boneshaker. Let's go ahead and work on the Red Baron portion. I want to cut off these fenders because they just don't go in line with the wheels from the base of the Boneshaker. So I want to go ahead and trim these down. Let's go ahead and speed these up and follow along with your adult beverage. Now we're going to cut some pieces off the Boneshaker body. We're going to keep the hood, and we're going to keep the back end of the Boneshaker, and just cut out the center section of the car. Here I'm using my jeweler saw, and like I said, we're going to speed this up a little bit because a lot of this stuff is boring, and you've seen me use a jeweler saw before. But just, like I said, sit back with your adult beverage and have some fun and watch the action. That's looking pretty good. And that's the only parts we needed off of this car. So there's the center section from the Red Baron. There's the nose from the Boneshaker. That'll fit together pretty good. And then here's the back portion of the Boneshaker. We'll file those down and we'll use some putty and we'll get that to fit really nice. Let's go ahead and do a quick mock-up and see what we're looking at. Alright, well that's looking pretty good. So far so good. Now the center section of the car there's got some indentations. We're going to go ahead and fill that in with some putty and file down the sides a little bit. And then we'll strip the paint and then we'll put everything together and glue it together and sand it down and get it ready for paint. Let's go ahead and move on. Alright, I've got my putty mixed up. I've got the trunk glued on and I've got the hood glued on. Let's use some of this Milliput. Now it's a two-piece formula. It's a really cool putty. Now later on I found out that the Milliput really is more for plastic or wood. It doesn't fix the metal very well. Does it stick to it? Yes. But there are better products out there that will help you allow to do that. Now you can use JB Weld and some other things. But the Milliput putty is what I grabbed first. And had I had it to do all over again, I would grab a different type of putty that's made more to bond to metal than it is to plastic or wood. And there's today's tip from your Uncle Paulie. Let's go ahead and put the rest of this putty in there and take up that void. And then we'll trim it down as best we can with a razor knife and then sand down the remainder. And then later on, I put a little bit of spot putty in there to smooth that out even more. That's looking pretty cool. Alright, let's go ahead and move on. Unfortunately, I lost my footage of me painting the body, but the first thing I did is I put down some silver base coat from the Redline shop, and then I sprayed it with some Spectraflame Red, also from the Redline shop. So please check the Redline shop out at www.redlineshop.com for your Spectraflame paint needs and many other products for your hobby. Now we're going to do the trim. Here I've got a replacement or filler pen from the Molotow people, and instead of using a pen, I like to use the drops of paint and put it on with a brush because it tends to go on a little bit easier and I've got a little bit more control with the paintbrush than I do with the pen. So I'm going to highlight the machine guns on the car. And then we're going to trim in the tank in the back and the back suspension section there that came off of the Boneshaker. Now, if you happen to get any of the Molotow chrome pen on parts you don't want, just take a small fine Q-tip or something and wipe it down and with some lacquer thinner or some alcohol, and that will take it right off. This was probably, except for the cutting, one of the most tedious parts of building the car, is doing up the trim. You definitely got to have a steady hand for sure. That's looking good. There's no place to hook into the back end, that's why it's kind of flopping around there in the back. Let's go ahead and do the bottom suspension section. The fine folks at Molotow, they make a wonderful product, and that is the closest I have come to having chrome that you can actually do in a paint. Now, if you happen to spray this with an airbrush, you may get more what looks like a, I don't know, a aluminum finish, or like kind of a satin finish, where if you apply it with the pen or you apply it with the paintbrush here, it's going to look like chrome. Now, the other thing you need to keep in mind is if you clear coat over the top of this, it may dull that finish also. So you may want to do your trim after you clear coat what you're going to do. Now, since I was already done painting any on this car, that's the reason that I put this on top now versus after I clear coat, or before I clear coated. Now this car doesn't have any clear coat. These Spectraflame paints, if you use the proper measurements or the proper quantities of the hardener, activator, etc., these things come out with a beautiful clear finish, and they're fantastic. Now, can you clear coat over them? You sure can, and they look that much better. But they look fine the way they are. So you may not have to do that and cut out a step completely. Let's go ahead and do that tank in the back now. I only used about 3 or 4 drops of the Molotow Chrome to put in that little cup to paint this. And it was more than enough. And honestly, 2, possibly 3 drops would have worked just fine. Sorry for the angle here. Sometimes if you're zoomed in a little bit too close, you miss the whole thing. But man, that looks nice. Here I've got the front end of the Boneshaker, and I'm going to put in some micro sequins to make this stand out just a little bit more. I got this box of micro sequins, and it comes with a whole bunch of assorted colors to include black. So I'm going to use black for the eyes, and I'm going to use yellow for the headlights of the car. And I think it's going to look fantastic. Now, if you take your toothpick and dip it in water and just touch it to the top of the sequin, sometimes it won't let it go. But touch it to the top of the sequin. If I can flip it the right way, my goodness. Here we go. Keeps slipping over on me. Here we go. I've already got the glue in. And just touch the toothpick to the micro sequin after it's been wet. And stick it in the area where you want it. I dropped the other black one there, so I'm going to have to get another one of those out of the box. But here go the yellow sequins. It doesn't hurt to have a couple extra of those sequins on your table. That way there, if you do drop one or whatever, you've got the next one ready to go. That looks good. There's the box of sequins. And this is only a few dollars for the whole box, and like I said, it comes with all kinds of colors, and they come in different sizes. I believe these are 1mm. That's looking really, really nice. I like that for sure. Okay, we've got all of our parts now. We've got the body that we painted red. We trimmed it up with the chrome from the Molotow refill pen. Here's the base that we filed down on both sides to accommodate the body a little bit better. Here's the engine. Here's the helmet, the replacement helmet. I like that one better. Here's the interior. That's cool. Let's put it all together and have our reveal. And this is what we started with. A Boneshaker and a Red Baron. This was a fun build, it really was. And like I said, this is only up to your imagination of the different cars you can combine and all kinds of things. So sit back and think about it and write down your ideas and make it happen. And here's what we got to. What a cool looking car. Baron von Boneshaker. That looks fantastic. I really enjoyed this build. Now, give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I read every single comment that you put, whether it be good or bad. If you happen to give something a thumbs down, folks, just do me the honor of letting me know what you don't like. I mean, I can't fix it if you don't tell me what you don't like, okay? Now, some things can't be fixed, but at least do me the honor of letting me know what you don't like. But I've got a lot of friends out there that do this hobby too, and I want you to check out Cole from Kuda's Diecast Customs. Opa, his channel is fantastic. Please check him out. Matchbox Mark and Devil's Decals Diecast. I want to thank you for joining me here today at Diecast Graveyard. I had a great build here, and we've got a whole bunch of other builds coming up that I think you're going to like. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe. My name is Paul with Diecast Graveyard. Send me your questions. I read them all. Cheers.